I thought you was handing out gin.
Did not see that red.
You know, back in 1962, this is the area where those of us involved in the early civil rights movement with SNCC came to live with Joe McDonald and his wife Rebecca. They were part of the black leadership here in Ruleville, and their house was right in here. They had a gate and a fence, and Joe McDonald and his wife were very strong members of William Chapel Church, where the only church really in Ruleville that we could have a mass meeting. And they supported us and gave us the backing we needed here to get the movement started. I'll never forget that after we were here for about 10 days, the mayor of Ruleville came after night riders rode through the community and shot up Joe McDonald's house here, shot bullets into his living room for trying to kill those of us who were here to organize the voter registration effort. After the shooting, the mayor of the town, Charles Durrell, came to Joe McDonald's house and took his gun, told him that he was taking his gun for his protection. And Joe and his wife told us about it late that evening when we came in, about the mayor coming and taking his gun. And we told Joe that the mayor didn't have any business taking his gun. He had a right to have a gun for his protection and to protect his family. And so, and Charlie Cobbs and Landy McNair and I showed Joe where, in a history book, where he had a right under the Constitution in the Second Amendment to the Constitution, gave him a right to bear arms to protect his family. And Joe said, "Shona, fold that page down." So Charlie folded the page down, and we went to bed. So the next morning, we got up. Normally, what we would have a little coffee, a biscuit, something with the McDonald's at that table. But this particular morning, Joe was absent, and said, "Miss McDonald, where's Bro Joe?" She said, "Well, he's gone to City Hall." So we didn't think much. You know, you go to the City Hall, pay your light bill, gas bill, or whatever business you had to take care of at the City Hall. So after about 30 minutes, Joe McDonald's truck pulled up in front of his gate. He had a fence and a gate. Joe pulled up, and he gets out of the truck, and he's got his gun, holding it high, so that his neighbors could see it. Now Joe was aware that his neighbors had seen the mayor come and take his gun and carry it to the City Hall. So Joe wanted to hold his gun high so that they could see that he still had it, that he got it back. So now they are gathered, and they come out and around standing, and Joe's talking, and we walk out and greet Mr. McDonald and ask him what happened. So Joe says, "Well, I went to the City Hall and I told the mayor I come to get my gun." And so, and the mayor told him, said, "Nigga, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna get in serious trouble. You got to get them boys out of your house. You're listening to them boys." And Joe said he didn't say nothing. He just stood there And the mayor go on talking and looking at him mean like. And finally, he said, well, what are you waiting around here for? He said, I come to get my gun. And so the mayor said, what makes you think you got a right to have a gun? And Joe had this book with him, this history book that we had folded the page down to the Constitution. And Joe said he laid it out there, and the mayor looked at it, and the mayor looked at him and said, you tight head nigga, you, and went over there and the gun was behind the mayor's desk and got it and gave it to him and told him to get out of there and that he was going to get killed fooling around with you, to get rid of them boys. So here Joe is now, he's back home with his gun. So now Joe is really is a symbol in this community. Ruleville was never the same. Joe McDonald was a tall, dark, handsome man, and who could neither read or write. And but he became one of our leaders. We had been getting small numbers of people to the mass meetings that we were having, but after that night, after that day when Joe got his gun back, he became the real leader of this community, and he became the kind of guy that people in the community could follow. He was really just, you think about a guy like Joe who had never in his life, 76 years old, never faced a white man and told him really what was on his mind. And so, and the mayor was really a fierce guy in this community. He was one of the leaders of the White Citizens Council. And he once said that if any of his niggas went down to register to vote, he'd shoot them down like rabbits. So now you think about here, Joe, 76-year-old black man, always been seeing white people as being superior, and he's now built up his nerves enough to go and demand his gun from this man. And then he gets it, and he come back home, and now he's the man here.
Thank you.
You know, I could almost see Joe. He was, you know, he was colorful too. There's a picture, you got to see him. And in Freedom Summer, in one of the pictures of Freedom Summer, one of the canvassers, the white kid is walking up to Joe, and Joe's standing there. You know, he has this big 10-gallon hat on his head, and he's looking, you know, he's looking strong. It was August 1962 that Bob Moses and Amsey Moore, Bob Moses, the SNCC leader, and Amsey Moore, NAACP representative here in the Delta, brought three of us, Charlie Cobbs, myself, and Landon McNair, to Ruleville, Mississippi, to the Mount Galilee Church, where we met the leaders of the Ruleville community, which included Joe McDonald and his wife and several other members of the community. After the meeting, it was our assignment to be with the McDonald families, to come to live with them in their house right here, and work out of their house, organizing voter registration in Ruleville, and then to move across Sunflower County eventually. So Joe McDonald and his wife lived here, and they took us in, and they worked with us, holding mass meetings up at William Chapel Church, and trying to get African Americans registered to vote. The McDonald's played a very important role in us staying here. I remember after the shooting, and Joe McDonald's getting his gun back, and the mayor of the town threatened to cut off the tax exemption for the church, threatened to make them pay water bill, light bill, and everything that they had been kind of just allowing them to have freely. And the church deacons got together and met after the white community threatened to burn down the church. And it was Joe McDonald and his wife who stood up with us and didn't allow them to throw us out of the church. So William Chapel really just became kind of like an anchor here for us. And in fact, if we had gotten thrown out of William Chapel, we'd have had a harder time organizing here in the Delta.
So, tell me one more time. You don't have to walk or anything. So people lived here. You said it was three of y'all, and y'all had to stay here. And you wasn't from here, right?
No, I got here as a part of the SNCC movement to register blacks here in the Delta. Bob Moses of SNCC and Amzie Moore brought myself, Charlie Cobb, and Landon McNair, SNCC organizers, to Ruleville. And they left us with the McDonald family. Joe and his wife lived here. And so it was going to be over the next few weeks or months, whatever it took, we were going to work out of their house to organize the voter registration here in Ruleville and in Sunflower County.
And how was it living here? Was it scary, or what did this place look like before? Because I understand you said it didn't look like this now. So was it this one of the only houses? Was there other families? Was there any reaction from the other families?
Yeah, one thing unique about the Ruleville community was that Amzie Moore and Reverend James Bevel, who was involved with Dr. King's organization, had been here, and Amzie had been working with this community, and they had set up a citizenship school here. A lady by the name of Mary Tucker, who had had attended some of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference training session under Dr. King's organization, was operating a citizenship class at William Chapel. And the lady right next door here, Ruby Davis, and her daughter was involved in that, and Nolan Conley, who and his family, who lived in the house over there. And there were several houses right in this immediate area where these people were involved in the early effort to register voters. This community was known as the Sanctified Quarters due to the location of a sanctified church which stood over there on the property across the street. And this community was made up mostly of the people who were involved in the movement. And so there were mostly just open fields out there. I think the houses stopped about right here. That house was not there. There were a few houses on that corner. This particular house was not here. Joe McDonald's house was smaller, but it was right in here. The address of Joe's house was 909 Redding Street, and this street was at that time called Redding Street. Of course, the street name has been changed since then. So this was really just a kind of a dirt road. There was no pavement here at all. In fact, there was no pavement, no place in this whole area around. So all of this development, except for that house there and a couple of houses over there, and and right here in Joe's house, all of this is different. In fact, everybody who had gone to the courthouse and tried to register to vote, name was ran in the newspaper. And of course, in order for these night riders to know where to come and shoot, what houses to shoot in, they certainly had identified Joe McDonald. He was a target, was a target of, and along with us. We were living in his house. So they, when the night riders drove through, they only shot into the houses where people who were involved in the movement. And Joe, from here, the night riders drove around and shot into the home of Jack and Hattie Sisson. They shot in the home of Mary Tucker, where Fannie Lou Hamer had come to live after she was kicked off of the plantation. So there was terror. The attempted shooting, while it did not kill anyone, it did wound two young ladies, two Jackson State students. But they did terrorize the community. And our early efforts kind of slowed up, but we continued to canvass, knock on doors, and be visible in the community so that people wouldn't think that we had come in and stirred up something and ran out on them.
Thank you. So yeah, you can kind of turn around and just look at the house a little bit, and I'm just gonna